as we get started, like, of course, what brought you to Fairbanks? Was it like the National Eating Disorder Awareness Week, or was it like more than that, or was it just like another adventure that you wanted to come?
It's actually weird. When I was invited from Alaska University to actually come here, I actually wrote on my vision board that I wanted to find a reason to come to Alaska. So when I was asked to come here for National Eating Disorder Week, and then in conjunction with it being Black History Month, I was just like, okay, maybe I kind of like manifested it in some type of way. But when I heard what the initiative was to actually bring about more awareness, especially when it comes to things like the body positive, piece of it, I just really couldn't say no. There was don't get me wrong, I am very intimidated of this weather. It's not as bad as it's really not as terrible as I thought it was. Like when you see below 24, below 27, 30, a New Yorker like me gets scared. Like I was completely like, okay, I'm like, what coat am I gonna bring out here? Like I bought like a whole wardrobe of stuff unnecessarily.
Yeah.
Because it's not the same. But I don't regret coming out here at all. So much so that I'm like already like scaling out in my head when's the next time I'll come back out here.
Mm-hmm. So you already planning to come back?
Oh yeah, I'm planning on coming back here.
Well, I'm from the East Coast myself. I'm from North Carolina. So I'm from a little warmer climate than you.
Right.
But whenever I got here, like I was aware of the same thing, like how cold is it gonna be? And I got here at the end of summer, so I transitioned and that helped. But I just knew like layer up, and then I was like, well, what coat do I wear?
Right.
Kind of like you.
Right.
But after like 2 or 3 weeks and a couple of days of -20, I kind of got used to it, and it was like, this is just another part of the world that other people live in, so you can too.
Right.
And I kind of adjusted to it real quickly.
Yeah, like I mean, I think that honestly, because I travel all the time, and one of my friends actually made a really good point. Because there's not so much wind, it's not beating down on you. So like when people actually say like, oh, like zero doesn't really feel like zero.
Exactly.
I wholeheartedly believe that because this is my third day of being out here. And I was like, oh, maybe I am becoming like a native. And it's like, I got my coat open, I'm like flaunting it. I'm like, okay, it's not too bad. But yeah, like it's not terrible. Like as long as I remember to remind myself not to wholeheartedly open my mouth and breathe in the air.
Don't breathe too deep.
Yeah, because like I started coughing and like it felt like there was shards of ice. I'm like, what is this stabbing me? And I'm like, oh, that's the air. That's the air just like killing me right now. But no, like after I got past that adjustment, I went for a couple of runs out here since I've been here. And I've adapted so quickly.
So you like the running?
Oh yeah. So I'm like, yeah, because that's what I do. Like when I'm not doing motivational speaking, I'm a professional ultra runner. So I'm sponsored with a number of companies. One of them is Hoka One, which a lot of people refer to it as Hoka 11. And what I'm considered is a hybrid road and trail runner. So I dibble and dabble in both communities.
Yes.
And what is unique about my story is that I don't look like a traditional athlete. I'm plus size, African American woman, very unapologetic. Sometimes I say a couple of F-bombs. Yes, I mean, I think everybody should be. I think that we got to a place where we're censoring ourselves to such a degree that it's almost like you're watching, and pardon me for saying it like this, but I think it's like looking at a cult environment where it's like, okay, one person says something, now everybody's forced to agree with it because everybody's scared of being wrong. Or
I call it the herd mentality.
It is. It really is. Like,
and there's no need for pardoning yourself, because I was taught that the church needs no apology. So what you just told was very true. Like it's like one thought and then everybody attaches to it and goes with it. That's why I call it the herd mentality. It's like you were just dog slickers. I see you on your Instagram.
Oh, yeah.
The prime example of that would be like if one dog in the sled team would see a rabbit or a deer or a caribou, he's gonna go after it, and the rest of them would too.
Right.
And I liken that to the same way as like I guess you say us as a people have become. Not just culturally, but personally as well.
Right.
Because on a large scale, we tend to not have our own personal thoughts. We tend to attach ourselves to whatever thoughts seem to be popular at the time. Go ahead.
Cool. I'm gonna bring it back. So, what I do notice is that when the supervisor walks in the room, everybody's shape is out. Their body language changes. Hey, how you doing? And the supervisor doesn't apologize. Look straight on. head position is different. Body language is a confidence. Even if that supervisor is not confident, as long as they're in a role.
That confidence.
They're in that role at that moment. A good supervisor is in that role and demands, not asking. They're not apologetic. They're just going to say what it is because they're a professional. But as women, because like we have years of oppression, of being told you're not pretty enough, you're not good enough, it doesn't matter what your skills are. You're reduced down to your looks. You're reduced down to being ladylike, according to men. That we become so apologetic about our own bodies, about our own mannerisms. Anytime that I speak up for myself and I don't put down a LOL or a laughing emoji after something when I demand boundaries, I am immediately called a bitch. And it's always put up with some descriptor before it. Fat bitch, ugly bitch, rude bitch, loudmouth bitch, whatever it is, you know.
The boundaries you're demanding is just respect that you have for yourself.
But if I was a man, that would be acceptable. Because anytime that if I go back and forth and I get combative with people on post or I'm like on a social media post or even in person, and I'm like, hey, listen, I'm just establishing my boundaries. They're like, no, you're trying to be a man. And I'm like, define trying to be a man. What exactly are male roles? What are you trying to say? So being submissive, vulnerable, open, nurturing. You telling me men don't have those roles as well? Like right now, when I think about the idea that I'm here in Alaska and my husband's at home taking care of our kid while going to work, and when I go in interviews with the media, sometimes one of the things is, how does your husband feel about you traveling the world? And I'm like, well, how did women feel 40 years ago when they had to be the homemakers and providers in a sense of making sure the family was fed, make sure, you know, the husband gets a big piece of chicken, you know, because he did work and he gets to put his feet up. Meanwhile, she's still working. She got to be nurturing. She got to be loving.
Or how did women feel during the Civil War when they had to stay at home with 6 children while their husband went out and killed their cousin that stayed in the backyard?
You're killing me because it's Corey, but it's not a job. As far as people are concerned, that's not a job. But, you know, like, and it's never to reduce. It's not the intention of reducing men and saying that men aren't doing their roles. What I'm asking is for people to accept that women have roles too, that we have feelings and we have, and it's not us being emotional. If we feel something, if we do something, if we express that we're going to stand our ground, you know, stop apologizing for being you. There's too many of us who apologize for being ourselves every single day, you know, and it scared me. Even this, like the idea that I could call this a career scares the entire crap out of me, because if I say the wrong thing, if I do the wrong thing, I can't be human when you have that many followers or that many eyes
watching.
It's like you
went contradictory to what you said before.
Right, like especially not with the age of social media and technology, and you got like cameras on you. It's like, oh, but you said in this interview, this is this, and I was like, what I was trying to say. Or if somebody doctors up something and they chop it up and slice it a certain way, now they combine certain words. Wait, hold up, I didn't really mean it like that, but it came out your mouth though, and I'm like, fuck, if I didn't take this career, I wouldn't be. I wouldn't have this.
What I have to say.
Right, like I could just stay in my own little bubble. I could stay inside the box. Don't go outside. Whatever you do, this is the artwork. You trace it, so you don't go outside. You not color outside of these lines. And I color outside of those lines every single day in this career. But before, if you asked me 6-8 years ago, I would stay inside that box. And it's not because I enjoyed it. It's because it's safe.
Yes.
Nobody can criticize me when it's safe, because even if they told me, oh, you shouldn't be doing like this, I'm following the rules. The rules say that I stay inside this box. And as long as I stay inside this box, even when you criticize me, I have 10 other people who's doing the same thing.
Exactly.
It's
I
hard.
don't have anything to worry about.
It's hard being a rebel. And I mean, a rebel, like sometimes I think rebel gets a bad name. It's not about being a rebel. It's about being a creator, like a curator, essentially a curator for your own life. And when you do those things, you are giving other people permission to be themselves. You cannot be scared of your own failure, because failure is going to happen every day. When you work out and you go to the gym, when you are doing certain things, you are repeating these things. Hell, go writing a paper. You're writing to failure. You're writing towards failure. It's like, okay, now I see my hiccups. Okay, I repeated that 6 times. Now, how can I perfect that? We are essentially running from fear of failure. We're scared to fall. We're scared to surrender. I think the real word is we're scared to be vulnerable.
Exactly.
And that's the reason why I wholeheartedly am okay with being a recovering self-defeatist at this point, where I'm just like, this is going to be the AA program for the rest of my life, where I'm going to have a day where for 2 weeks everything's going good, and then boom, something hits me. And I might not be able to recover from it for a little bit, but that's cool. I've already been down this road. I know what rock bottom feels like, and maybe I'll encounter something that's a little bit harder. But as long as this and this is honest, and I can face whatever it is, I'll make it.
I know I can get to the next day.
Yeah, and so be it, man. Like, I mean, we have to be our own, harshest critics, because when the lights are off, cameras are off, and there's no social media, when there's nobody in the room.
No likes, no comments, no hashtags.
It's just our brain and our thoughts. So, who you are to yourself means more than anything that anybody in this world can throw at you. So it's like it's easy and hard to be a recovering self-defeatist. It's hard as shit, man.
But like being a recovering self-defeatist, what advice and or motivation would you give to younger women? Because a lot of them are in that position where they're in the position of self-defeat. My little camera partner that you always see me with.
Oh yeah, my buddy.
Exactly. Yeah, she dances. I know you know her. So like her friends and a lot of other young women in college and outside of college, just in the, I guess you say, the teenage to young 20 part of life, they're in a position where they're feeling self-defeat. And with you identifying as a recovering self-defeatist, how would you, what advice would you give them, or motivation as well, would you give to young women who are in that stage of self-defeat to become a recovering self-defeatist?
Stop apologizing for being yourself. The one thing that we do as women a lot is we apologize, even when we're not in the wrong. Now, I'm not saying go around here and walk around with arrogance, like, oh, okay, I stepped in your shoe, I don't gotta apologize for shit. No, you just gonna take it. No, you admit when you are wrong, but don't apologize for being you. I'm so tired. It is exhausting knowing that it's almost like watching a supervisor walk in the room. When a supervisor walks in the room, everybody, I literally am like sometimes the only one. I am I can check myself off in the box. I think about all the things that sometimes I get hired for. As much as I love having a platform, I think about the fact that I am openly bisexual. I'm a black, plus size, African American woman. The idea that I speak without apologies.
You shouldn't.
And it scares people sometimes. Like, I don't even, I think it's...
Truth tends to.
Yeah, and that's a good thing. I think sometimes you have to shake up people. Shake people up out of their comfort zones, because if we don't, I don't think that we would actually be... If people didn't sacrifice themselves years ago, then we wouldn't have the growth that we have right now that we're actually enjoying. And that's the part that bothers people, because people get so comfortable in being in that box. And as long as you don't come outside of that box, then nothing is disrupted. You don't feel like you lost your place on the totem pole. But the moment that you shake things up and say, that person that was all the way at the bottom of that base, and that person have the ability to climb up, now you're worried because you don't know what it is to be on that bottom. You don't know what it is that's required. You don't
know what it took for them to get here, but you know it took them a lot more than it took you. So
it's weird, because you've been speeding up the entire time that you can't feel how messy you are. Slow down. So when I got to the pool, he's like, why are you moving your legs so frantic? I'm like, because I need to move faster.
Scared.
And he's like, you're moving out of fear. So down.
You glide through the water.
And then, so here we are, and the roles were reversed, because they were recording this, and I'm in the kitchen, and he started doing a couple of things, and I was like, slow down. And he's like, I hope you remember that. And I was like, what? And I thought about it, I was like, I did tell him to slow down, because in the kitchen, we'll tell you work smarter, not harder. And the only way that you do that is you don't speed up, you slow down. You slow down and you put things efficiently, you put it down. We call it mise en place, everything in its place. So if everything's in its place, you don't have to do that much movement, because everything is in its place for you to grab, to grab, to grab. So it's deliberate movements. So you're picking up the pace by slowing down. That's become my mantra for 2020. Slow it the hell down. And if we did that more in this society, we would enjoy the quality of life, instead of trying to cram everything like it's a damn Happy Meal.
And
It's hard.
slow
Slow it down. It's simple.
It's so simple that it's like, how do you miss it? But like, to piggy off of slowing things down and to get back to our legacy, and for our last question, in slowing things down, what would you like for the legacy you leave on this earth to be?
That was another one that my coach had me go through. So he asked me what was my purpose of doing all this, and I was like, I don't know. It's like, I was like, I don't think I know. And he's like, everybody knows why they're doing something. It's just like, sometimes we just don't know how to put it into words. 45-minute conversation. We are figuring out and defining my why, because like the people, like I get it a lot online. They're like, maybe I'm not really an athlete because I haven't defined my why I run. And I'm like, oh well, there's no pressure on it. Like, what are you trying to rush on, like defining your why? 45-minute conversation helped me define my why, and I realized that as much as I say that I am so anti superhero trying to save the planet and change the world, like I am so Deadpool, it's ridiculous. I do realize that the work that I do, the reason why I've touched into areas like social work, the reason why I touch into culinary, the reason why I am an advocate for so many things, and I talk about a lot of social justice issues through my running, is that everything is all about emancipation. So if I emancipate myself, it gives other people permission to be them true selves, to be authentic. That we're not just using a word, we don't have to define it because we live in it. So my goal is to emancipate myself so I can emancipate others. When you are living your life, yeah, the only way that you can do phenomenal things is you have to just practice the act of being phenomenal. And it's not a process that you have to overthink. It's not something that's like, oh my God, I have to have this right and this right. No, we're a bunch of scientists with our own lives. We're constantly developing these formulas and these hypotheses and saying, okay, well, if we do X and Y, will Z come out? Okay, cool, let's go back to the
If I go to work, will I get paid?
Right. I'm like, no, just got fired. Okay, cool. Let's go back to the drawing board.
Or you just quit. Now
right.
What you gonna do?
Right, like not everything is going to be a deliberate act. Sometimes it's a spontaneous act. But it's like, like when I think about the fact that I went viral. Going viral is something that when you go viral, most times people don't know that they want to go viral. And if you're someone like me, you're definitely not looking for it. There are people out there who are like, content, like people who are content creators, especially the one like the babies that just grew up in the YouTube era. Yeah, like they're like, oh yeah, I'm waiting for that moment to hit. And the problem is with those guys sometimes is that they're so busy trying to make it hit, they don't know what's going to hit. That's the whole point of being viral. When you go viral, you don't know what it is. It could be the simplest, stupidest damn thing in the world. And it's like, great, that 15-second clip just gave me 100,000 viewers, 100 million viewers, whatever it may be. I've had those moments, and I never utilized that time. So this go round, when it happened in 2017, I freaked out for about 5 minutes. Then I was like, okay, it's gonna go away. It didn't go away. And my podcast partner was like, things like this usually live on for a year. How are you gonna utilize your time? Like, while you have a platform, people are listening to you. People would kill for this. what are you going to do with your platform? And I kept saying, I am so sick and tired of this and this. And he's like, you ain't nothing different than anybody that stands on a damn soapbox if you choose to do nothing about it. So my viral moment has been thriving because I've been able to use my metaphorical soapbox to cause changes in the places that I want to see it. It's much more than just advocating for body positivity. I am advocating for people with disabilities like I do, people who have invisible illnesses that you just can't see, and people are like will belittle them and say, oh well, we can't see it, so we don't feel bad for you. This is more than just being a black athlete or being the fat girl that's being picked on. This is for the person who was like me 20 years ago, who was 98 pounds and kept getting told, eat a damn sandwich. This is for the kid who has type 1 diabetes, because I have a son at home. It's just like him. This is for whoever that's a fill in the blank that feel like they don't belong, because at some point of all of our lives, we all feel like we don't belong somewhere, and it's a shitty feeling. If I can take that feeling away for 5 minutes, or I can be the person, or at least not even be the person, if I can be the catalyst that actually drives somebody to do better and be better and improve whatever way, like I don't need like somebody to say, oh thanks, thanks for doing that for me.
Like, just pat on the back.
Like, like, hey, here's your Scooby snack. Like, I don't need that.
Yeah.
Your success does that for me. Because when you're successful, I'm successful. Like when I hear about this metaphorical, the seat of the seat at the table, and I'm just like, okay, like you're waiting for a table, like you're an artisan. Build your own goddamn table.
Thank you.
Like stop begging people for shit that don't belong to you. If it don't belong to you, make your own fucking table and invite who you want. It's your party.
Thank you. Build the table,
build
the house, and the chairs.
Like you have the skills.
Thank you.
It's in you. Like even if you didn't have
Tarantino
hands.
never went to film school.
Right.
Look at him now. He built his table.
And I'm a high school dropout for 7 gym credits, and I'm a fucking athlete. Like